Happy Wednesday, wherever you are. Listen up. We have a great show today, as always, and I'm happy to share this Wednesday evening with you all. Oh, this is now the second week of our new year 2020, season 6, episode 70, preliminary title reports. We're going to be talking a little bit about title. I won't go in too much. You definitely can jump on our special Saturday webinars where I go into a lot of the real estate must know how, need to know how in depth. So jump on those monthly webinars. Again, loyal supporters, you gain exclusive access to them. If you're not, be sure to join at lasuperagent.com. Go ahead and scroll through, check out the loyal supporter tab and subscribe for just $10 a month. Do know that the webinars are available for anywhere for $15 to $25 per webinar. Replay is only available to registered members. All right. Also, do know that you can learn more and join Property Owners EDU. So if you are a homeowner or you anticipate you are beneficiary to a personal estate, you definitely want to check out propertyownersedu.com. That's a gem in a box. Listen, gem in a box. Shout out to, first off, shout out to our loyal supporters, our Property Owners EDU members as well. And for those of you who've been rocking with the show, supporting, sharing, tagging, I appreciate you. I thank you for your likes, subscribes, and shares. And stay tuned. Towards the end of the show, we will share our real estate word of the week. And again, more announcements to come. We will be doing, what I will be doing a screen share today so that we can really have, just hands-on in terms of the topic at hand. So you can see that visually, just like I want you to see me visually, right? So let me do this. Let me hold off on that. Hi, how you been? How have you been? I have been well. No complaints, no qualms, no issues. My family and myself, we are in good health. We are grateful. Pushing forward, have some great excitement, some great things happening. I'm in a great energy, great vibe. I'm grateful. Got Lathan here on the side. He's tuning in on the show, watching me do this live, because one day he's going to take this over and he will be your host. For now, it is yours truly, Lisa Puerto, also known as Super Agent. I'm a active licensed California real estate broker, creator and founder of many cool things, books, projects, curriculums, webinars, workshops. I am a national educator, award-winning author, and many other professional accolades to go with that. Why do I do it? Listen, I have absolute joy doing what I do. I think it's important that we are informed and we are educated, and that way we are empowered to make intelligent decisions when it comes to real estate. If you're tuning in on the live, be sure to say hi, say hello, drop a comment down below. I welcome your questions. If you are wanting to just come on and share with me on the live, you can do that as a guest. So I'll drop that in the comments below. I'll drop the link, and if you'd like to just come on and be a guest and really chop it up with me, you're welcome. So I just dropped that link both on our YouTube live and our Facebook Watch live. If you are not subscribed to the radio podcast, do so. Keyword Ready Set Real Estate on all your favorite radio podcast platforms everywhere. That's Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Anchor, Breaker, Castbox, on and on and on. Know that if you missed the live, either the video, Facebook Watch, or YouTube Live, you can subscribe to any of those and get replay access, right? Okay. All right. I am so... I was thinking, so I just finished a meeting and had a great meeting. So, I do my consults. I have, daily, if not weekly consults with various clients in different situations, directions. And it's always a learning moment. It's always a teaching moment, the conversations that come up. And so one of the things that, as I was thinking with the over 100 plus episodes that we have on real estate, I get to slow down each episode and just really take bite-size content from this big elephant of real estate, right? So, and I don't mean to be speaking with my hands today. I'm just, I have so much energy right now. And so that you see me channeling that through my body. You see me channeling that through my body. Okay. So with that, I say, son, can you hit that light right there? I was noticing there's a glare in my glass and I don't like it. So I took my glasses off, but let me see if it makes a difference since I hit this light on. And now that I have the light, let's see if it's a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better, at least for me. In any case, so there's always a learning moment. There's always a teaching moment. And for those of you who are considering investing in real estate, especially for those of you who flip properties, you're wholesaling properties, if you're doing this for the first time, if you're a homeowner, I implore you to pay attention to this topic today, because there's this thing we call chain of title. Chain of title, as it's associated with your property and what's recorded against a property. So if you are a first timer, you're jumping into escrow, and you're going to be presented with a list of documents. And those documents can feel overwhelming, which is why I don't recommend that you review them by yourself. Review them with a professional. Your team. Who's your team? Make sure you're reviewing those documents with your team. Do know that the preliminary title report is what we call just a snapshot of what is a snapshot of what's recorded on against a property. And it includes anything such as conditions, restrictions, and covenants. And it's important to review that because those are things that are attached to the property. And so the preliminary title report serves as exactly that, as preliminary. It's before we get the final contract of a policy we call a title insurance policy, which is coverage that protects you as a buyer against any claims that arises after you purchase that property. Now, it protects you against any claims against anyone. Let me say this slow, because title insurance is not coverage that is for after you buy the home. It's for anything that has been affected to the home by other individuals, organizations, companies, housing authorities, utility companies, all that jazz, prior to you coming on board. So this is the insurance that protects you to anything that would have happened before you jumped on board. I think that's the best way for me to explain it without overcomplicating it. So title insurance is that insurance coverage that you get, that the lender gets if it's financed, of course. And I absolutely recommend that even if you're purchasing cash, get a title insurance policy to protect you against any claims that may come knocking at your door after you get the keys to the property, you get your name recorded, because there may be things that may have been overseen that you weren't aware of. And we're going to talk about a little bit of that today, even though there is a laundry list of things that can come up as what do I do, George? What do I do, George? So we want to make sure we're addressing those things. Like I said, be sure to stay tuned towards the end. We'll talk about our real estate word of the week and our announcements on our monthly webinar coming up this Saturday. We got a webinar coming up this Saturday. Hey. Okay. So for those of you who are tuning in on the radio podcast, if you want to see a copy of this document, one of two things I recommend: subscribe to the YouTube channel at LA Super Agent, youtube.com LA Super Agent. And that way you can see it visually, or become a loyal supporter and you will get this, replay this video in your inbox, and you can get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation that I am going to attach to it. So it's not like this full-on PowerPoint presentation. I'm not going to spend too much time tonight like I did last week. I really jumped in and, I was just led. I was led to pour into you. So you got almost a 45-minute, 55-minute presentation on the podcast, which that wasn't my intention, but I was totally cool with that. Totally cool with that. I know a lot of gems were shared for those of you who listened. If you missed it, I implore you, go back and check that out. It was on probate, sales, and trust estates. And go and check that out. Go and check that out. Go and check that out. All right. That's all I have to say. I guess sometimes I think I can sing. I don't know, I guess I think I could sing sometimes. Okay. I trust that this screen share comes out pretty decent. It's a pretty fair view. I think so. And this is page 2 of a preliminary title report. Depending on how extensive the chain of title is, again, anything that's been recorded, meaning anything you've allowed to be added, and sometimes things that have been added without your control, such as liens, will show up on the property. Tonight, I will bring to your attention something called a lease pendants that's been recorded against this particular property. This is a real property preliminary title report. So out of protection of the parties and the property and the case that is involved, I have redacted the information. That way, of course, I don't get in any trouble about disclosing confidential information. But again, teaching point, learning point, and I wanted to make sure that we discuss why it's important to read and ask the questions that you would ask. What does it mean? I don't know, George. So then you ask your professionals, which is escrow, title, or your real estate broker or agent. Okay. So real estate here, this preliminary title report says the estate or interest in the land here and after described or referred to covered by this report is fee. Right. So fee simple. That's ownership, land ownership, or sometimes it's leasehold, which means it is for a period of time, so years, where fee is one of the type of estate ownership that gives you almost full authority with the exception that the government can, claim property through eminent domain, et cetera, et cetera. Again, for simplicity, I'm not going to cover that today. That is a great point that I can cover later when we talk about eminent domain, because we do see it happening in areas that being gentrified, that the city is taking back property through eminent domain. So we'll cover that next time. Somebody drop that in a comment below and say, Lisa, you said you will talk about eminent domain. So remind me, okay, because it's coming up right now as I'm having this discussion. All right. So then it says, see attached legal description. What that does is here it's saying that there's an exhibit that they legally give a description. They say lot, size, dimension, this block, da, 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 right? One of the first things that you will typically see on a preliminary title report, you'll see it here. Where's my pointer? Let me see if I get my pointer. Ugh. I don't know where my pointer is. Okay. I don't know where my pointer is. So we'll see it here. I can highlight it. First section here. Boom. Line item 1 is general. Here it is. Line item 1, it says general and special taxes and assessments for the fiscal year of 2019-2020. So I was taught this acronym in my real estate business, and I share this with you. And what's interesting is that I can't ever forget this about taxes. Property taxes are due. So it's the acronym NDFA for NDFA. So when it comes to your property taxes, There is no darn fooling around. How I remember, they come due, first installment, November 10th. It's past due December 10th. That's first installment. Second installment, due February 10th, past due April 10th. So remember that when it comes to your property taxes, because it is a lien recorded against your property, when it comes to your property taxes, there is what? No darn fooling around. So that's how I remember November, December, February, April, and it's the 10th of each month. And of course, one of those months is my birthday. So can't forget that. So you'll notice here in this example, again, when you purchase real estate, the property taxes gets prorated depending when you're closing escrow. So you may close, like for those of you who are closing right now, January, February, you are going to be already covering the full second half, the second installment, because of course it is due February. So you'd have gotten your bill, it's due February, past due April. So that needs to be paid up in full already. You'll notice here in this example, it says first installment, $587.06 is paid. The first installment is paid. Second installment says it is open. So because at the time this preliminary title report has been drafted, it shows open, second installment open because it's not past due yet. It's not past due yet. Remember that, okay? So what I want to show you here is, hold on. Let's stop that real quick. Let me make a quick adjustment to my slide. So if you just tuned in, we're talking about preliminary title reports and what's recorded against the property. So if you're in escrow, this is a document you should be paying attention to. You should be paying attention to because it shows pretty much what you have rights to. You have mineral rights, water rights. It shows that if the utilities have right to access the property, then that's what they'll do, especially if there's, utility lines, etc. And this gives you that information. So I want to make sure I have the right information up. All right. So like I said, I'm actually sharing an actual preliminary title report. And for protection, of course, of this case. So by the way, ooh, what is it doing? Okay. So of course, to keep this information confidential, this is actually a real case that is happening right now in the Superior Court of the state of California for the County of Los Angeles. So guess what? Notice here that line item 4 on the preliminary title report, you as a buyer and you as a seller will find out through escrow company and title and your agent that there is right now what shows as a court action recorded against this property. So there's been a lease pendants filed against this property. What does that mean? Someone is claiming interest to this property, claiming a lien, claiming rights. So as you can see, there are a lot of parties involved. There's a plaintiff here and defendant. So you've got a whole list of people, successor trustees, the living trust, individuals. But as you can see, what I have highlighted in all of this is that it says realty. So DBA Realty. There's even a real estate company that is being sued with this property, or at least that was involved in a transaction with this property. And so why are we paying attention to this? Because you cannot close escrow. Let me say this for those of you in the back. Can't close escrow if you have open litigations, liens against a property. For the people in the back. For the people in the back. Cannot close escrow without clearing up the cloud is what it's referred to. Somebody please type that on in the comments, cloud. There is a cloud on the title. This has created a cloud on the title because someone is claiming interest to it. All right. So with that being said, you say, well, how do we how does that impact the buyer? So the buyer has a couple options. The buyer has the right now to find out if this can be cleared up. if this lien, this case, clearly it's a lawsuit, who knows how long this is going to take. If you as a buyer, you think you want to hang in there, you have now been, it's now been disclosed to you that there is the seller of the property is involved in a lawsuit and someone is claiming rights to the property. You have, as a buyer, per the contract, has legal rights to, one, the seller is obligated to remedy and resolve any liens, encumbrances, as you see number 5, any defects, liens, encumbrances, or other matters which name parties with the same or similar name as blank, that's the name of the seller, the name search necessary to ascertain the existence of such matters has not been completed. In order to complete this preliminary report or commitment, we will require a statement of information. I go into detail on one of the webinars, in the past webinars, we talked about the importance of the statement of information. We talk about the importance about the statement of information. That's this line right here in line item 5, why that's important. In any case, so the seller is now privy. Hey, if you didn't know you're being sued, now you know, because now you have to deal with it. You can't sell this property without clearing up this issue. Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, listen, this property currently has a litigation against it. It has a lease pendants recorded against it, which means it's a lien. There's a lien recorded against this property that needs to be resolved. And so the buyer, hey, Ruben, shout out to folks out there. Belize is tuning in live and direct. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So with that being said, there is a lien recorded on the title. And so Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what do we do, right? You have the option to back out this deal. You now have the right to cancel out this deal. And you can say, you know what? I don't think I want to sit around for this. You can say, I don't want to hang in there. I don't know how long this is going to take. You can speak to the seller's agent and have your agent speak to the seller's agent. You can contact the escrow company. You have rights to contact the title company to question, what's the status? What's this looking like? Are we getting into a space or place where we can get this resolved? So it's up to you how much you want to hang on to this is resolved, or this could take longer, right? But at this point, what this is communicating to all parties, this property, which is in escrow, is now on hold. Everything is now on a standstill. This property is now on hold. And so this brings me to my point about reading preliminary title reports, because if you are signing through and you are not reading what's affecting, or any defects recorded against the property, you could be taking on more than you want to bite, right? And sometimes that comes in a form of covenants, conditions, and restrictions. You want to make sure you ask, you want to do your due diligence, because remember, the preliminary title report is also a condition of your purchase. And what it says is you as a buyer are only going to move forward unless you approve the preliminary title report in order for the title company to issue a title insurance policy. Now, here's the wonderful thing. The title insurance policy will do its best. They normally can't catch everything, which is what the insurance is for. They'll do their best and they'll do their research and they'll check everybody out through the statement of information. They'll pull records, tax records, lien, all that other stuff. They'll find what's been recorded against a property. They'll find what's recorded against individuals associated in that transaction, which is why I've said in the past, for those of you who have child support, spousal support, and those things show up. They do show up. So if you're involved in real estate, it's going to show up here. It's going to show that it's court ordered, right? Court ordered, case number, this amount, judgment in this amount, child support in this amount. FYI, for those of you who are in the United States and you're a United States citizen, you cannot get a United States passport if you owe more than $2,500 in child support. FYI, maybe someone needed to hear that. So listen, very important. Again, if you are unfamiliar with this part of the transaction, it's important that you reach out to the respective parties, professionals. Like I said, escrow, title. If you reach out to escrow is going to recommend that you speak directly with the title officer, title rep. They'll contact you and they'll explain this. If they don't know the information or don't have the information at hand, they're going to dig deeper and they're going to go research the information to be able to present it to you and provide you with the necessary information so you can make a decision about this particular property and about this particular situation. All right. So this is, again, why it's important to read. This is a responsibility not of the agents, not of the escrow, not of the title. This is the responsibility of you as a buyer, you as a seller. Sometimes people act like they don't know stuff. I didn't know, nobody told me. You can't say that because you're required to sign off on this. As a preliminary title report, you're required to approve it. So make sure you're reading it, you're doing your due diligence, and make sure you have someone qualified. How do you know if you have someone qualified? That they're reading it and they're saying, hey, let's go over together. Hey, let's check this out. Okay. Want to make sure you have a solid team. That way they're checking that information with you. Okay. So I said I wasn't going to do a full presentation today. I really just wanted to come on here because, it's currently one of my transactions that I'm dealing with. And part of real estate purchases and contracts, we're always dealing with preliminary title reports. And this is one thing that you absolutely should be reading, regardless of how long it is. Sometimes it's a large report, depending how much has been recorded against a property. I have another transaction as well that the seller is an investor. So he has multiple tax liens recorded against his name because he's an investor and has acquired many properties which has an open lien. So that second installment, and I'll go back, that second installment is open. So it's a long laundry list, all right? So with that being said, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, if you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe, share, like. Please drop a 100 down in the comment below. Let me know that you found this valuable. And listen, tune in, I've got to say this, tune in or subscribe on Eventbrite. Subscribe on Eventbrite for our January webinar, okay? Webinar happening January 18th. Register on Eventbrite. We are going to be discussing getting mortgage ready and filing your taxes, because oftentimes, for those of you who are planning to invest in real estate, planning to be a first-time buyer, making some mistakes that you may not know on your taxes that actually will ultimately impact your ability to get pre-approved for a home loan. So tune in then. Going to have some gems as always. I always share gems. So make sure you tune in. If you're a loyal supporter, you gain access to this again with your $10 a month. If you're a non-loyal supporter, the webinar registration is $15 a month. Okay, webinar registration is $15 a month. Remember, by the way, that a portion of our proceeds, in which we collect from the show, anything, our merch, anything we sell, a portion of those proceeds are donated to Real Estate 100 Youth Foundation. All right. So I'm going to jump in here with our real estate word of the week, addendum. Addendum. Very common, especially if you have renting, you have a lease agreement, real estate purchase contract. Sometimes, most contracts, I said, even if you deal with the legal stuff, if you're dealing with legal contracts, businesses, if you are even being hired on for a job, you will see that an addendum sometimes is attached to that. And so it's an attachment to a contract, rent or lease agreement, for incorporating any of a provision agreed to, but not included in the boilerplate agreement. So basically it's added to because it wasn't originally incorporated in the original agreement. So there's an addendum that gets added. Very important to read the addendums. Very important to read the addendums, because here's why. Addendums can sometimes change what is in the original agreement. We use addendums a lot in real estate because sometimes things change and now we have to agree, all parties have to agree that we are changing what we originally agreed to. Remember that an addendum will potentially supersede what was originally agreed to in the original contract. So today's our real estate word of the week is addendum. By the way, I think it's actually one of my favorite words, addendum, because it does come in handy when we got to change some stuff. And in real estate, we're changing things all the time. And we want to make sure that we cover our assets. And how do we do that? We do that through addendums. All right. If we think it, we ink it. All right. All right. With that being said, listen, this has been another information packed episode. And I trust you are finding this very helpful. All right. Very helpful. And I will see you next week. For those of you who are signed up for the webinar, I will see you on Saturday. Again, it's live Q&A, which is really fun because I'm able to really jump in there and share the goodies. But for the rest of you, you will see me next week as we continue season 6 on Ready, Set, Real Estate. Bye, you guys. See ya. You know, I don't be knowing what's going on with my player. But in any case, I'll see you guys next week. Take care.